So one of the reasons I was so excited to have you both here today is because menopause is having a moment. I don't know if you've all been paying attention, but it's been all over the news, and that's not just because I work in PR. It's been part of pop culture. We've seen celebrity-driven brands embracing it. So what has it felt like for each of you to see menopause and perimenopause finally get its mainstream moment? I'll start with you, Cynthia.
Yeah, it's interesting. My first TEDx was in 2018, and at that time I talked about perimenopause. And do you know at that time there were 4 TEDx talks on menopause? And because I was going to talk about perimenopause, all the male organizers were thrilled to know that I was going to be the first one talking about perimenopause. Fast forward now, 8 years later, I mean, it's everywhere. But I can tell you in 2018, it felt like I was alone on an island talking about what so many women experience, including myself. One of many reasons why I left traditional allopathic medicine 10 years ago was I hit the wall of perimenopause. And so I am delighted and thrilled that the conversation has started. My mother's generation, there's so much shame and secrecy about aging, let alone I had never had a conversation with my mother about menopause. So my teenage boys know what menopause is, they know what hormone replacement therapy is, they talk about it. And so to me, I look at it as it's like this whole revelation and revolution of focus on women's health. And so women are no longer just, you know, surviving middle age, they're thriving. And so I feel like Gen X is really pushing the envelope of making sure that women's care and women's quality of life is really paramount. So I'm thrilled to know that there's been so much movement in the last couple of years.
I love all of that, and I think, you know, it's more of a, I don't know if it's a movement or a moment, but it's more of a reckoning, I think, right? We have been silenced for so long, women in general. Menopause affects 100% of women, right? Right?
There's no hiding.
There's no hiding from this. And yet here we are, and you know, it's been so underserved, so under-discussed, so much lack of education at every level. Okay, so there's been a reframe, a shift in mindset, and that's a bigger conversation. So it's not really a moment or a movement per se, you know, and there's trends, right? You know, it's hot and it's this and it's that, but patients don't have that luxury of it being a trend. It needs to be life. It needs to be celebrated the same way everything else is celebrated, right? Having babies, getting pregnant, the baby registry, baby, you know, all of that is amazing. Yet when we get to this midlife component, it's kind of like a decline. You're done. In shame, like don't talk about it. We are moving past that, and I think it makes me really excited to see all of these conversations happening. Yes, I have the same, you know, young 20-year-old kids, both 2 boys and a girl. They know everything. They tell their friends' moms, hey, you need to go see my mom because I think you're having some perimenopausal symptoms and my mom can help you with that. So they're learning, they're understanding, where no one spoke to us about any of this, and we weren't educated. We had to go. You left allopathic medicine. I, you know, had a 25+ year career as a general OBGYN. I saw this over and over again for the past 10, 15 years, and that's when it hit me. Something's missing. We're great in taking care of women all the way through reproduction, and then it's kind of like hands off. I don't know what to do with that, and it was a very uncomfortable conversation, and that's where I was like, there's more to do. I need to educate myself. So where am I going to get that education? And by going out of my bubble, that's where I was able to, you know, get the education, and now leading forward with these movements, all of these kinds of rooms, really educating other providers. That's where it's at. It's not, I think women know now. Everyone's heard it. They know what to look for. They know what to ask. Now we need to go backwards. Get it into medical schools, get it into training programs, and really educate there so that we can really, you know, do a better job of having this available to everybody.